Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guys Mo Noir in the Midwest, and we got Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a pretty small nighttime slate here on Thursday. A lot of day games, fellas. So we pretty much have our work cut out for us in terms of which teams we're going to choose here. Only 3 of them. So we will be bringing you all 3 of those nightcaps. Also want you to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this MLB regular season. So to continue to follow along with us there. Also head to thelines.com where Nate, Mo, and company have plenty of great written content each and every day for you guys as this MLB season rolls on as well. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, like you said, there's 7 of the 10 day games are before 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight. So let me just run through those lines. I know they might have started by the time you're watching this, but Colorado plus 130 at Miami, Giants plus 125 at Braves, Dodgers minus 225 at Reds, Cubs in a toss-up at the Pirates, Guardians looking to stay hot, plus 115 at Minnesota, Cardinals toss-up at Brewers, Robbie Ray and the Mariners minus 125 at Oakland. Then we get to the 3 games, that we're going to address here. Astros are plus 110 as they open a weekend series here at the Yanks. The O's are plus 132 at the White Sox, and then the Phillies plus 125 against Cy Young candidate Joe Musgrove and the Padres. We're going to start again with the Yankees. We have pretty much been on it with them in terms of backing them to win. They pulled out that 1-run win last night, but I'm going to take the underdog here. I'm going to say they finally hit a snag here as they've reached 51 wins already, the Yanks, but they're facing an equal task in terms of bullpen and staff when it comes to Framber Valdez starting for the Astros. I think he is the kind of guy who can limit this power hitting lineup because he's very effective managing contact. I mean, he does have that 91% zone contact rate, but just 3% barrels. It's really hard to square up his curve, his sinker, whatever you want to call it. The Yankees high K rate, obviously a high WOBA against lefties, but not that high in terms of average. We'll see if they're able to lift the ball against Framber, who's on the road, really been kind of a boom bust guy as you would expect with a sinker guy. 16% line drive, 16% home run to fly ball ratio. So the key thing to watch is, of course, can he keep the ball down against this lineup? So far, he's been able to, in general. His velocity's up, his exit velocity is down this year, and on the road, like I said, 1.61 ERA, 156 BABIP. So, I mean, and then looking at the other side, I just expect Jameson Taillon to show some negative regression as he has these last 3. Some troubling batted ball data for him, including giving up 96% zone contact to the Twins, giving up a launch angle around 24 and just 25% grounders in his last start against Toronto. And he's attacking the zone pretty relentlessly. Houston should be all over that scouting report, and I think they put some runs on the board. I would look at I'm not going to mess with the total. No, I'm just taking the Astros here as slight underdogs at Yankee Stadium. You never know how many balls are going to fly out of there, so that's my pick.
I'm a little interested in the under, actually. A little bit of wind blowing in from the outfield today, and yeah, like you said, Framber, he's just a marvel with his negative launch angle and 3% barrels. It's an interesting matchup for the Yankees because they lift the ball frequently. So you would think this is a good spot for them with all those right-handed power bats. But they've somehow been awful against sinkers. And they are second in walk rate. So I'm wondering if they can play some station-to-station ball here. But it's not really what they've been doing. And I'm definitely in agreement with you that Taillon looks like he's been quite lucky this year. Below average called strike plus whiff rate and a massively cut home run rate. His 2.7 ERA is way, way off his projections. The projections might be a little low on him because he did add a cutter that's helping him manage contact this year. I think something between like his 3.69 SIERA and his 4-ish projection seems fair. So I do expect quite a bit of regression there. Yeah, the Yankees, so many power righties versus sinker lefty. It makes me a little nervous for the Astros because on paper, that doesn't look good for them. But with these two top 10 bullpens and two pretty good pitchers, even with these excellent offenses, I am a little interested in the under, but like you said, it's scary to take. So just staying away from this one, I think.
Yeah, it's a good matchup and a good series, obviously. But I would have to agree that New York is primed for a little bit of regression. Obviously, Taillon, you mentioned, hasn't been playing well in his last 3 starts. You've got a guy on the other side of the ball there in terms of on the Astros offense, and Alvarez, who's just crushing the ball right now. I believe his isolated power stats are crazy against right-handed pitching as well, lefties. But either way, I would definitely stay away from necessarily that over. I do love both bullpens as well. I saw the internal struggle for you, Nate, but I would agree with you. I don't think the total's a play on this one. I think you can just find some really good value, and I think FanDuel actually has a bit better odds right now for you to take the Stros as dogs in this one, so I would consider that one there. Another matchup here between two guys that I don't really know how to break them down right now. We've got Dean Kramer and the ageless Johnny Cueto, who I'm not sure, but maybe he's good at pitching again. He hasn't really been in 3 to 4 years, really since he left the Gigantes, but I would think it seems like he's I'll let you guys get into it. I know there's a lot of stuff to talk about in terms of potential regression for Johnny Cueto here. So kick us off here, Mo, in this one. What do you like in this match between Kramer and Cueto?
Yeah, I would say for Cueto, I have him honestly projected a little bit better than or below average at this point. So, I mean, based on kind of the injury journey he's been on the last couple of years, that's pretty good, and a couple of years with ERA north of 5 there. But I think he's settled back into pitching at kind of a low velocity and attacking hitters with kind of a kitchen sink approach. His different delivery rhythms and throwing a lot of off speed. 40-ish% fastballs, but he splits them between sinkers and four seamers. So he likes to give the hitters a lot of different looks. And I'm a little interested in the White Sox lineup right now. It's getting healthier. And I think a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how bad they were against right-handed pitching. They were like bottom 3. They might have even been in the 70s WRC plus. I don't know. It was really bad, but they're 23rd now, 90 WRC plus. They got Tim Anderson back. I think Eloy is supposed to be back real soon. So they'll be at full strength or close fairly soon. I don't think they should be near as bad as they've been playing, but they do have a little bit of an interesting matchup here just because Dean Kramer does have a reverse split where his K minus BB percent and his slugging is 102. His slugging allowed 102 points worse versus right-handed batters. But 90-ish innings, so way too early to say if this means anything. Maybe the market buys into it because they did move the White Sox overnight. I think it moved like 10 cents or so. I still am not that interested in the Orioles, though. I thought this was like exactly fair where it was last night. So with the juice, it's just still not anything I would bet. Maybe under 9, but I mean, it is 2 very, very strong bullpens. I mean, people don't probably know this, but the Orioles have been pretty tremendous out of the pen this year.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as part of the reason they're so surprisingly solid over the last 10 games between these two teams. They're both 15-5 combined. I'm still not going to back the Orioles. I think I'm all over the White Sox offense in this one. I think the White Sox bullpen has been so bad that it's going to sort of creep towards the mean here at some point. But I think neither team is going to be lights out at this stadium. And the White Sox 10-2-1 to the over since June 9th. They're hitting 320 as a team. They have 6.5 runs per game, and their bullpen has been awful with a 35% ground ball rate, 17% home run to fly ball. I like White Sox plus over here. It's plus 200 to get you over 8.5 at FanDuel. It's the match money line, so it's not going to move, and the total's now at 9. So I think that's great value right there. I think the White Sox should handle business, like Mo's saying. They got so many key bats back in the lineup, starting with Anderson, and they're obviously raking. Baltimore's just 12-22 straight up as road dogs, despite them being surprisingly competent. And the White Sox, you look at since they've started to get healthy, they've really handled business, or they've been facing the iron of the league. I mean, they have Dodgers, Astros, Blue Jays on the recent ledger here. They swept the Tigers in between there. So I think they will handle business against the Orioles throughout probably this entire series. Take 2 or 3 of these, I think.
Yeah, I lean over. I think there's a little bit of randomness going on in terms of which of these two pitchers will come out and bring their best stuff. I mean, Kramer has been a lot better over his last 3 starts. I mean, in his 20 career starts, as we mentioned, not a lot to base off of with him, but an ERA above 6 still is pretty telling. Like I said, last 3 starts, he's down below a 2.5 ERA. Not the most telling stat, obviously, of all time, but I do think there's some reason to believe that, the Orioles could pull this one out. You mentioned their bullpen. It has been a little bit worse the last couple weeks. Both of these bullpens have been pretty, I mean, the White Sox all season, but definitely the bullpen regression for Baltimore has occurred a little bit in the last couple weeks. Either way, it all makes me feel better about an over in this one. I would consider that parlay with you there, Nate, as well, as you get to lock that money, those money line odds as well, if you take that. So last game here for us, fellas, on the West Coast, kicking things off with the Padres hosting the Phillies. Pretty decent total here at 7 runs. Not too much expected, as obviously Joe Musgrove having a great season taking on Ranger Suarez. So kick things off for us, Nate. Where do you start in this West Coast matchup with the Rangers in town? The Phillies in town.
Yeah, with the Phils coming, I trust Joe Musgrove. He's got the 3rd lowest hard contact rate of any starter, and it drops to 16% when there's men on base. He's getting 61% ground balls in June. And at home, he has a 92% strand rate. So I just trust him to wriggle out of any jams he might get himself into, if it even comes to that. I mean, he's been solid in 3 straight starts against the Phillies. He's tough on lefties, so they're not going to be able to take him out. I mean, we're at Petco, so it's not that easy to take anybody out. He has that minuscule home run to fly ball ratio, as well as the minuscule walk rate. Philly, I mean, it's kind of just the energy around these teams. Philly's a team that start to point fingers, start to go on losing streaks. They've lost 3 straight, and they're 13-19 after a loss this year. The Padres, the energy is different this year. I mean, after having some disappointment down the stretch, I think they just, it's Manny's out, then all of a sudden next man up, and they rally, sweep the Diamondbacks. Machado might even play tonight, I think. But either way, this lineup's pretty damn good against lefties, and Ranger Suarez, hard to figure out. I'm sure he's one of Mo's frustrating head cases that he's been trying to bet on this year. But yeah, I mean, the walk rate is still 4 walks per 9. He also gets low hard contact and limits homers, but that's not how the Padres beat you. They are that kind of station-to-station run producing team. And then that Phillies bullpen, the last point, has just been atrocious. The second highest walk per 9. Last 14 days, their ERA is 5.76, 3rd worst in baseball. So I have a hard time imagining them pulling out this win on the road against 9-0 Cy Young candidate Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, how could you not trust Joe Musgrove at this point? Man, he's putting together a really tremendous season. He just attacks hitters with multiple pitches, really deep arsenal there. I don't think he throws a single pitch over 30% of the time. 32% called strike plus whiff rate. That's elite territory. 85.9 exit velocity and 4.3% barrels. So not giving up hard contact, which has been an issue at times for him in the past and has held him back a little bit. But yeah, he really seems to be putting it all together this year. I also think, the Padres do have pretty big bullpen and defense edges here. And they've hit lefties much better this season than righties. 8th in WRC plus with 112 there. And yeah, I'm seeing Machado maybe back in the fold, but it is interesting because they actually are pretty poor against Rangers' 2 most used pitches, 24th versus sinkers, 22nd versus changeups. I just thought this line was pretty fair. I am a little bit interested in the over, actually. I mean, the Phillies I still think they have a better lineup than they've performed. It's really surprising to me that they're just kind of a meh lineup against right-handed pitching, because I think they should be very good based on the players they're getting out there. But yeah, I didn't fire this one, but will be a good one to watch for sure. Out of all these games, I would say Musgrove here versus the Phillies is probably the most interesting thing to watch. And yeah, right now I would say over 7 is the most interesting thing to me in this game. If it dropped to 6.5, I would definitely take it, but the juice is on the over, so I wouldn't really expect that to happen.
Yeah, it makes sense. And if you are expecting low scoring, the only thing that scares me is if this does stay close and you hand it over to the bullpens. I do agree. Obviously, the Padres better bullpen this season, but the Phillies definitely has been a bit better as well. I just don't like leaving those. I think that bottom line, I think you might consider Padres' first 5 innings with Musgrove, where they really do have I believe a clear cut advantage there in those first 5. And yeah, especially if Machado is back coming in hitting lefties would be super helpful for those Padres. So I would agree with that. One other thing, did you guys know he's called Java Joe? I believe that was relevant to how long he was taking. He would yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I just learned that earlier as well. I thought that was a wonderful nickname for him. So we'll see at those plus 400 odds right now for Joe to win the Cy Young. Not too shabby with the way he's pitching. So one other thing to consider, but that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Hope you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us. So as we are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this MLB regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.